heat, boy.
Yeah, we breaking silence on the Lord, oh. So why you think we out here on the Lord for? Yeah, I'm coming through, Ja, ja, ja. Coming through, I'm coming through. Yeah, I wear the truth like a logo. So why you think I'm out here on my dolo? Yeah, I'm coming through, Ja, ja, ja. Coming through, I'm coming through.
Yo, once again, it's the We Break Silence Show. Charles, Pamela Rosario, Cashwalk, and Vineyard. Mike Laurie's here to fill in.
Yes.
Hola.
And we have a special guest in the building.
Yes.
Can you put his mic up? Jeez.
You see, and then you say you don't bash me, right?
I ain't say nothing. I just said, can you turn his mic up? That's all I said.
You said G's and all the attitude and all that, so I got you.
All right, I'm not going to say now. I'm going to just keep it moving.
Y'all have changed.
So now, we got
everybody else coming for me. Okay, go.
We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, the
Our
young
brother,
exec.
Carl.
My bad.
Oh, go ahead.
Got a little hype, my bad.
Should we go with Carl, young exec?
I go by both.
Okay. Carl Michel, right?
Yeah, that's it, man.
Okay. Can I tell you a story real quick?
Go ahead.
Oh,
Story
shoot.
time.
Did your mic
Story
turn
time.
You unplugged his mic?
Yes.
At New
perfect.
Villa Radio. Yep.
Right, perfect.
Okay, so let me start with this. My coordinator mentioned that I think your manager reached out to my coordinator to have you come on. So my coordinator is my sister. And she says, I think you know this guy. He's from Stanford. He used to go to the Stanford church. So I was like, I'm not sure. I didn't see your picture yet. So I looked at you and I'm like, yo, he looked familiar. But I wasn't sure. And then I was like, oh, he used to go to Pastor Senji's church. Yo, crazy, right?
Yes.
The Haitian Connect, the small world. Sac-Passe. So I know a lot of people that go to that church. Like I know Diane Busakut, right? That's my girl. I used to work with her at A&E.
Diane was good.
Yeah.
Her brother Carl actually made all the paintings in my book.
Her brother.
Yeah. Her
Wow.
brother Carl Busico. Dope.
Small world, bro.
Dope artist, yeah.
So, who else I know from over there? I know Jessica, the Pastor Senji's daughter. I know Jennifer Gilo. I know all the brothers from Gilo.
Oh my goodness.
I know Ronald. I used to play the keyboard.
Yep.
Back in the day.
And he's married with Karen.
Okay. How's he doing? I haven't seen him in
he's doing
years.
amazing. He's doing amazing, man.
Word.
That's funny.
But when I seen your face, I was like, yo, I remember you when I used to be a little kid because we were from the Danbury Haitian church. So we used to go to your church in the Moisson. In the La Moisson. So but before the Moisson, we used to go to your church every Sunday, like when I was a little kid, because the Danbury didn't have their church yet. Till like 91. The 91, we finally got our own church.
That's so dope.
Then we'll
man.
see everybody like in Bridgeport, Pastor France, or you guys. Like it's crazy, man. So that's so dope.
We're all connected,
I remember your face, bro.
Dope, man.
My gosh.
I'm excited to have you on.
Those days.
Yes.
So you do a lot. You
Yes.
are a motivational speaker.
Yes.
You
An
are
author.
an author. Clearly, we have your book here. Creator of the Youth Empowerment Show.
Yes.
So I feel like there's so many. We could start in so many different places.
Yeah.
So what came about first? Was it the book, the show, the speaking?
Man, the first thing that came about was the book.
Okay.
The book led to the speaking, and the speaking led to the show. You know, so that's the order it went in. And the crazy part is people are like, yo, you must have always been writing and stuff like that.
Right.
I've never in my life kept a journal more than a month.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? So it's like, how do you get a kid from the hood that's never really written anything? I didn't even like reading at the time, to be honest with you. But I developed a passion for inspiring and motivating. And it started with one of my homegirls, God rest her soul, Rosalita. She passed away. She committed suicide.
Really?
Wow.
And that's when I realized you never know what a positive word of encouragement would do to somebody's life. You know what I'm saying? So I started sending my friends daily text messages about like just something, a positive sentence or a quote that I heard before, and everyone started being like, "Yo, how did you know I was going through that?" I'm like,
Wow.
I didn't know, you know, but it's something that I could relate to. And it just kept getting bigger and bigger. It started off with a couple of friends, and it grew to a couple hundred people. Then when it got to social media, it grew to a couple thousand people. Then people started looking at me as the go-to motivational quote guy. And yeah, from there, I actually had a year's worth of time where I took a year off of drinking. You know, I was going, it was getting bad. You know what I'm saying? I actually embarrassed myself on a business trip. Long story, yeah. Really? So I decided, okay.
What you do, bro?
I know, I was gonna say that. I was just gonna let him finish. I was gonna let him talking to me like, so let's get back to that story.
So I joined a network marketing company, and that's where I developed my speaking skills. I developed the ability to train and recruit and a whole bunch of people. So I got invited to speak at one of the major conferences. There's like 15,000 people at this conference.
What?
And I have a bunch of people on my team with me. I'm the leader, but the night before I didn't eat. I'm drinking like crazy, you know, and the whole morning I'm throwing up, got a crazy hangover.
Gosh.
We're supposed to be at the conference at a certain time. I made everybody late, you know, and we're driving to the conference. Everyone's in the car, and I'm like, yo, pull over.
Oh my God.
And they watching me throw up on the side of the road, and it's just embarrassing. You know what I'm saying? And the whole time I'm sitting in the conference, all I can think about is throwing up again. You know, and lucky for me, the night before, my frat brother was there, and I passed him my cup because I knew I had too much. And the night before, he said, yo, I'm not drinking. And that was weird for me because we drink every time we see each other.
Right.
And he said he's taking a year off from January to January. And that next day when I was throwing up, the only thing that I thought about in my head was, you're taking a year off. And then I looked in the mirror, I said a prayer. I said, yo, I'm done for a year. And because I made that commitment, I asked God to make me executive director in that company. A year later, that didn't happen. But what he ended up doing is giving me the idea to make Young Executive my personal brand. So instead of being executive director of that company, I became Young Executive of my own brand.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
That's amazing,
so,
bro.
It's been a blessing. You know what I'm saying? So that's when I started, that's when I came up with the idea. Well, I didn't come up with it, but God gave it to me, the idea for the book. And the book came about because every time I turned on the radio, I heard a destructive message. Every time we turn on the radio, they're talking about sex, drugs, money, and violence.
All the time.
Same message,
They
different
were just
beat.
saying that in Russia.
Vlad was saying about
It was
that.
right.
It's just,
Putin was saying that.
so it's the same message, different beat. And I would start traveling to different cities like Philly and Atlanta. I would see these young kids that reminded me of myself when I was younger. They knew every single word to all the lyrics of every single song. They knew every single dance move, but they were struggling in school. So I know you had the capacity to learn, to read, to excel in school, but the music is steering you in a different direction. So I didn't want to necessarily compete with the artist, but I wanted to highlight the positive things that they said because they already influenced the kids. You know what I'm saying?
That's cool.
So yeah, that's how the book came about.
Right. That's interesting.
I want to ask you this because I was looking at some of your documentaries earlier today. You said you put up a picture. You said left side call, right side call.
You see that? Okay.
You said the left side was kind of hood. You know,
Yeah.
got the. I mean, you wearing a hat now, but
Yeah.
got the hoodie on. You know, the right side you got a 3-piece suit.
Yep.
What's the difference between the two? Explain the two calls, bro.
You know what? That's how I actually start my motivational speeches.
Nice.
With that contrast, because people see me, you know, most of the time you see me in a suit or something like that, and they're like, okay, he's always been like that. But the kids, or just not even the kids, just people in general need to see, like, I can relate to you because I've been through it.
Right.
People don't really want to talk to people who have never been through anything.
Correct,
You know what I'm saying?
correct.
If you grew up with that
Relate
silver
to 'em,
spoon, it's
yeah.
like, okay, you always had that. But can you show me how to make it from the bottom and get to the
Yes,
top?
yes.
And that's exactly what I do with my speeches. I show them who I used to be. And who I used to be was a big follower. You know, I grew up in the hood in Custer Street, Stanford. And when I was young, I was blessed to have both of my parents in my life. But they would work so hard and we would still be so broke.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but I could look on the corner and I saw the guy that had everything I thought I wanted. He had the cars, the clothes, the money, and the girls. And he was selling drugs. I mean, he was hustling. And I'm like, that is what success is. So at a young age, I became a follower trying to be like the hood dudes because I thought he was more successful than my father was.
It's crazy how that's our mindset when we're young.
Yeah.
I felt the same way. You know, and Mike, I'm pretty sure you felt the same way.
Yeah.
too.
And
fast money.
And honestly, I didn't get a different perspective until I was much older, because I could look outside, I saw the dude on the corner. I turn on the radio, I see the rapper, or I hear the rapper, and I turn on the television, I see the ball player. So those were the only 3 examples of success I had for almost 2 decades. It wasn't until I was 19 or 20 years old I got introduced to the business that I got involved in. The gentleman that I met was a millionaire, and he looked like me.
Wow.
And he was teaching me how to, do everything that he's already done. So he became my mentor. So it wasn't until I got that positive example of success that I knew that I could be more.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like that, bro. That's inspiring right there.
Right.
Yeah.
So if a young man or woman came up to you and asked you, what are the steps for them to...
There we go, Mike. There we go, Mike.
To go from
I like that question.
from rags to riches.
Yeah. What advice would you give to them?
So I break it down in my speeches, but I give y'all the major keys.
We break
right
silence,
here.
bro.
We break silence.
Give us all the keys.
So it's 5 major keys that help me out. Everybody has their own blueprint to success, and that's the beautiful thing about it. There's no one way to get to the final destination, whatever it is that you're looking to achieve. But for me, the number one thing was my faith in God. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. So before I got to success, I had to see it first. A lot of people say, yo, I gotta see it to believe it. But faith tells us, if you believe it, then you'll see it.
Right.
It's the law of attraction. You know what I'm saying? And Kendrick Lamar says, once I speak the good into existence, that instant my dreams will unlock. You know what I'm saying? So I had to believe that I could be better than my current circumstances reflected. You know what I'm saying? So faith is the number one thing. I had faith in God and I had faith in myself. Second thing is I got myself a mentor.
Nice.
Someone that I believed in, that has already experienced the things that I'm looking to experience. So I don't have to make the same mistakes. I should just learn from him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times people are like, well, you're lucky you had a dude that was a millionaire in your life. I don't have that type of person. It doesn't matter. Before I met him, I was on YouTube.
Right.
I was on Google. If you're looking to be a basketball player, I see the kids nowadays, they're shooting 3-pointers from the half-court line
Because of Steph.
thinking that they Steph Curry. But I'm like, you don't realize that Steph Curry shoots 100 3-pointers in practice. You know what I'm saying?
He don't just shoot it.
Yeah.
He put work into
He
that.
knows he can
Yes.
hit that half-court shot
Yeah.
because he's hit 100 of them in practice.
Puts in work. Yep.
But you just see, sometimes people only see the end result.
Yes.
But study the work ethic of the number one person in your industry.
Right.
So for me, my mentor became, the person that I looked up to. So he taught me how to do a presentation, how to recruit someone, how to train, how to do all these things. And I studied his mannerisms. When he says, when this slide comes on, this is what he says. So I'm focused. I'm literally in the audience taking notes every single time he presented, and I perfected my speaking skills because of that. I never took a Toastmasters class or anything like that, but because I studied the greats, I became greater.
That's
So the second major key is get yourself a mentor. And the third major key, which is probably the most important for me, is change your circle of friends.
Ooh.
They say the people around
Big
you
one.
are either going to stretch your vision or choke your dreams. And the Bible says, do not be corrupt. Bad company corrupts good. No, do not be misled. Bad company corrupts good character.
Right.
At the time, every dude that I hung out with was in the gang. So when they got into a fight, I got into a fight. I didn't start the fight.
Yeah.
Those were my
That's
mans,
not
though.
you.
I
Yeah.
have to jump in.
Yeah, you gotta help your buddies. Yeah, man.
Like, I'm not gonna be the only one in the car riding home that didn't jump in the fight. I would look weird.
gotta
know what
ride
I'm
for
saying?
your mans, bro.
So now I'm in situations that I didn't create, that I should have never been in the first place, because the dudes that I was hanging out with were attracting this type of energy. So we would always get pulled over. We would always get into a fight. We would always get into some type of disciplinary action. And at that time, I was in college on the dean's list. You know what I'm saying? That's even better than honor roll. But
Right.
because of the dudes I was hanging out with, I ended up on academic probation.
Wow.
You get what I'm saying?
Wow.
So it's like the people that you hang out with the most, you become the average of. So if every single person that I was hanging out with was on academic probation, about to get kicked out of school, even if I'm on honor roll, it's gonna even out.
Oh yeah.
Now my grades were below average because of the dudes that I was hanging out with and that I allowed to influence me.
Right.
So once I started aligning myself with people who had my solutions instead of the ones who had my problems, I became better. So I didn't graduate college on time. You know what I'm saying? I graduated though. But the year that I was supposed to graduate, I saw the dudes that I came into school with on honor roll, on dean's list, summa cum laude, and all that stuff, and I'm like, dang, those are the dudes that I should have been hanging out with this entire time. You know what I'm saying? But you know, when you growing up, it's like, oh, they ain't cool, or you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So once I changed my circle of friends, everything for me started to change. My circumstances started to change. So I wanted to become more spiritually sound, so I hung out with dudes that were in Bible study.
Nice.
You know, I wanted to become more financially sound, so I started hanging out with dudes that were earning 6 and 7 figures annually. You know what I'm saying? So whatever it is that you're looking to do, start aligning yourself with people that are better than you. You know what I'm saying?
I love what you're saying because I feel like I can relate. It's like we grew up in the church, like I said in the beginning. And then when we get in our teen years, we hanging with the wrong crew.
Exactly.
God was like, I know you remember me.
Yeah.
And he pulls you back
in.
And it's like I have the same story as you do. Because I changed my friends. Now, my friends are small, and they keep me out of trouble, and they hold me accountable. And I love that, bro.
That's a fact, bro.
Yeah.
That's big.
That's crazy.
So with your motivational speaking, where do you tend to speak? Like, what are your speaking engagements? Who reaches out to you?
I'm big on molding the minds of the youth. So most of the times that I speak is usually at like middle schools, high schools, church youth groups, things like that. You know, this year we're getting more into colleges, and I've done a couple elementary school because I just want to steer them in the right direction before they get to that fork in the road.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So those are the places I usually speak in. So youth conferences and things of that nature.
And so what are some of the things that you see in kids today? Like some of the, I guess, things that can be troubling that you notice in kids growing up today?
Some things that are troubling. Well, it's a gift and a curse. It's the technology, really.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have this much access.
We didn't.
You
That's
know?
so true.
We didn't.
We didn't have this much access. So they're exposed to things at a lot younger age.
Yes.
So the combination of the music and the combination of the internet puts them in a space where the things that used to shock us as kids is normal for them.
Right.
You know, like I remember
That's scary.
it was so hard to find porn. Like, I would have to have to find a magazine like laying around somewhere, like
The blurry television.
Or the blurry television.
You remember those days, right? But now everything is literally at the palm of your hand.
gosh.
So you can't even talk about sex anymore, and it'd be a shocker to kids. They understand it way more and way earlier than we did when we were younger. And then I was at this YMCA. I just finished giving a speech, so I'm just chilling in the cafeteria, just watching the kids, just hanging out. This one girl, this is when Nicki Minaj was in her prime. She said every lyric to Nicki Minaj, and the counselor was like, "Hey, that's it." She's like, "That's inappropriate," and the girl responded, "Oh, there's no cursing in it."
Wow.
She thinks it's fine.
Yeah, she thinks because it's not, there's no cursing in it.
Yeah.
Oh, this the edited version.
But the message is still horrible.
That's crazy.
The type of stuff that she was talking about in that verse was so graphic.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just recited every single lyric like it was nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yo, this is shocking to me. But it was nothing to her, you know? So right now it's the exposure to sexual content, the exposure to violence. Yo, you're seeing people get shot and killed on Facebook and Instagram. You know, so it's like the exposure is at an all-time high.
Yeah.
I got
So scary.
I was gonna say they start them young too, because even on YouTube, like the small kids, they have their little action figures and dolls and things like that. But there are adults that sneak into these YouTube for kids with the same dolls, and they'll do like sexual acts with these dolls.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's like, even for the parents, you know, a young child is not safe because they put it in the cartoons.
Oh yeah, for sure.
When we grew up, we didn't have none of that.
No, absolutely not. I had a follow-up question to Vanya's question.
Go ahead.
You're talking about I was gonna ask you, and I know you're working with the youth, but are you afraid of our generation? I know you're trying your best to help prevent anything, but the way the kids are growing up, are you afraid for our future?
Nah, you can't be afraid of the future because fear cripples us. It'll prevent you from doing the right thing. You know what I'm saying? There's a reason why in the Bible it says 365 different times, do not fear.
Yes.
Do not be afraid. Yes. And that's because
and he didn't give us the spirit of fear.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So if you know that something in your heart is right and you're afraid to do it, then that's on you. But courage is not the absence of fear, it's doing what you're afraid to do. So in those moments, you just got to be courageous. You know, every time I get in front of an audience, every time I get in front of a crowd, you get that you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Your heart beats fast and you get that adrenaline rush, but that's normal.
Yeah.
You push past that.
You do.
And you gotta carry out the mission.
Word.
You know, so no, I'm not afraid of that.
Okay.
You know, I'm more so afraid that I don't do enough. And that's what pushes me. You know, so.
And I know you're doing it, so I respect that.
Thank you. We just getting started.
Yeah, we are. For real.
Can you tell us about a time in your life and something you went through that taught you the biggest lesson?
Oh my goodness.
Experience. Other than the big drunk at the conference experience, was there ever another time in your life that taught you a big lesson?
There's so many different instances.
What stands out the most though?
Right now I'm thinking about when I was 19. Has to do with drinking too. That's the crazy part. So hanging out with the wrong guys. I was drinking at the age of 19, and this is what propelled me into the speaker that I am today, because I was a young, arrogant dude, hung out with a tough crew, so it's like, okay, nobody's gonna say nothing to me. There's one particular day I wasn't hanging out with those guys. I was drinking with my roommate and his friends and stuff like that. We went to a party, we had fun. Long story short, a big fight breaks out on campus. Everyone's scrambling around or whatever. I hop in my car. This dude is like in my window just saying something to me. I can't really make out what he's saying, but I know it ain't pleasant.
Right.
You know, so I say something back to him, you know, and I drive off. It's a lot of chaos and commotion, but I make a right, I make a left, and I notice the car behind me makes a left. I make a right, and I notice the car behind me makes a right. I'm about to make another left. The dude cuts me off, and it's the same dude that was just saying something to me. And now it's like 3 people hop out the car this time, and every one of them is yelling. But the dudes that I'm hanging out with that night are not the normal guys that I hang out with, so all of them start panicking.
Right.
So it's making me nervous. I'm like, I'm not sure what to do. So I just drive off. And the dudes, we got into a high-speed chase.
Wow.
Oh my god.
And I'm like,
They wouldn't let it go.
they wouldn't let it
Wow.
go. I'm crazy drunk, and I'm speeding
Damn.
I'm speeding down a 25. I must have been doing 60 to 80.
Damn, man.
And I get to this. It's not even a fork. It's just like this intersection where there's an island right here. You can go left or right. It's like 4 different ways that you can go. I went straight and hit the curb. You know, the car spun out. All the stuff, the airbags popped out. And it was, by the grace of God, I didn't crash into a tree that was just a few feet away from us. I hop out, and the dudes that was in the car with me hop out. The guys that was chasing me end up coming there, so they hop out the car. So it's 4 of them, and then I'm like, okay, we about to get into a brawl. I look behind me and nobody there.
What?
Oh wow.
They ran.
I don't know what happened. to this day, I don't know where they went.
Got caught
I
up
don't
in
know
the
where they
rapture.
went. To this day, I'm just like, yo, it was just me about to fight 4 dudes.
Oh my
and then that's when I realized the people that you think are there for you are not really there for you. The cops end up coming. The dudes that was chasing me, they left. And that moment, that night, I lost my car, I lost my phone, and I lost the people who I thought were my friends.
Right.
And that moment humbled me so much, because after that day, all the dudes that was calling me to joyride, I was driving a Lexus at the time, all the dudes that was calling me to joyride, go to parties, chill with me, they stopped calling me.
Yep.
I didn't have a benefit for them anymore. So these are the dudes that I was riding with, who I thought was riding with me,
Right.
and literally they left when the time came. You know what I'm saying, to hold me down. Yeah.
Right.
So, a couple of days later, the guy that ended up introducing me to the business that led me to my mentor, he's like, yo, Carl, I heard about the accident. Is everything okay? And then he introduced me to my mentor, and the rest is history. You know, but if it wasn't for that accident, I wouldn't have been humble enough to accept the business opportunity.
Right.
I'd have been like, nah, we good. I'm straight, or whatever the case may be. But because of that experience, it led me to, you know, being the person I am today.
Yeah.
I like that, bro.
It's a lot.
That is a lot.
That's a great question.
Thank you.
Good question.
I was like stirring up. I'm like,
So tell us a little bit about how the Youth Empowerment Show came about. Like, what sparked the idea
It's
to
a dope
do
show. I
it?
watched a couple
Thank you,
episodes
thank
today,
you.
yeah.
I
Yeah,
appreciate that.
powerful.
So the Youth Empowerment Show, what it is, it's like a motivational version of 106 in Park. You know,
Right.
I get celebrities and community leaders to come in, and we do a live interview in front of now it's like 200 kids.
Nice.
So it's really dope, really fun, really interactive and entertaining and inspirational. But it started because once I started speaking, I got a couple opportunities here and there, but business wasn't booming like I thought it would, you know? So I kept going to different conferences and meeting different people that were giving me the same message. So it was three different conferences that I went to. I got 3 different messages, but the message was sent to me in 3 different ways, but it was the same message. One person, I asked him like, yo, what made you start your show? He had probably the biggest internet show. He had the biggest reality, not even a reality show. What's it? Anyways, the show Money and Violence.
I know.
What do you call those type of shows? I forget.
That was a YouTube show,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I know where you at.
Mo, the creator of Money and Violence, right? So I'm like, yo,
Those guys are from Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
So I'm like, yo, how?
And they're Haitian, right?
And they
Sorry,
Haitian.
I keep
And they Haitian. Now you good. So I'm like, yo, bro, how? What? Like, you don't have no directing experience,
Right.
What made you want to be a director as opposed to working, for directors and stuff like that and learning? You know what I'm saying? He said, I never wanted to ask for an opportunity, so I created my own.
I like that answer.
Right.
So he created his own platform. Okay, that was one instance. I went to a conference with a lady by the name of Lucinda Cross, and she was at it was an Activate conference in DC. I'll never forget it. And she said that people want to produce with people who are already producing. Same message.
Right.
And then the third thing I went to was down in Atlanta. Lisa Nichols at her conference, she said, people are not going to help you push your train out of the station. They want you to be in the train as the conductor yelling all aboard, and then they coming on and helping you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So everybody was saying, do your own thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Stop waiting for an opportunity. Stop waiting for a platform. Create it and they will come. And that's what I did. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when I created the show, I didn't know how to do it. I never did production before. I don't even think I've held events on my own before. I just said, hey, we're gonna do a show. I don't want it to be like the Steve Harvey show type of thing. I want it to be like my own thing. So I remember Teen Summit from back in the days, and I remember 106 in Park. So I kind of meshed the two together. And I didn't have the money to pay for the cameras. I was unemployed at the time.
Yeah.
And
It's tough.
it was hard.
I get it.
I didn't know how to get an audience together,
Right.
all
Get
this
it.
stuff these parts that I didn't know how to do, but I prayed on it. The night before, the craziest story happened. Like I was worried about how I was gonna pay for the cameras to film the show. I didn't have the bread for it. I sat there and prayed with one of my business partners out in Houston. I kid you not. I checked my email. The mentor that I was telling you about earlier, I haven't spoken to him in maybe 6 months to a year before that night. But I prayed and I checked my email. He sent me the exact amount of money I needed to execute the show.
Wow.
And you didn't even talk to him.
I never even spoke to him.
That's crazy.
I prayed, and then he just blessed my PayPal account. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah.
But
That's all God, though,
It's all
bro.
God.
That's
It's
crazy.
all
so
God.
Crazy.
That's
So
beautiful.
I paid for the cameras. The show was rocking. We had a rapper come out, my son. And my audience was like 20 people, but it was all good, you know. And we reached the right people that day,
Yeah.
you know. Despite the opposition, despite having no bread, despite the message needed to get there, and we got it done.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
I gotta ask you this, bro. Ukone no Aisi.
I'm done.
Does
What?
it- You don't need to. I'm just playing.
I am part of this conversation.
I was saying, we're Haitian. I said that Creole. So, what you're doing now, does your parents support it? Do they allow it? Because, we're
Know how
doing this
Haitian
radio
parents
thing, and
are.
my dad, he see me do it.
Yep,
But he's like, what's this radio thing? And, he don't get it. But, he tries to cheer for me, but he don't get it. And, we're not a doctor or a lawyer. You already know. You heard it since we was kids, what we need to be. Do they support what you're doing, or do they understand your vision?
Now they do.
Really?
How was it at first?
Yes.
It was rough, So here's the deal. Your parents are not gonna understand your grind until you get to where you need to be. So get there.
Yes.
So
But how do you get there? That's the
So-
that's the hard part, is getting there.
So my dad told me at a young age, 'cause I'm blessed to have a supportive family, right? But my dad told me at a young age, when he was making six figures, he's a nurse, right? Every Haitian is like in some medical field.
I just
Or a lawyer,
said that.
So my dad said, Carl, one day you're gonna make more than me, and you're gonna do better than me. And I didn't understand how to do that because my dad was working all day, every day.
Yes.
7 in the morning to 11 o'clock at night.
Putting
And I'm
in
like,
work.
it's not even possible for me to work more than you.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So I just couldn't fathom what it would take to get to that level.
Yeah.
And I think at the time he wasn't making six figures at the time. I think at the time he was at like maybe 40 or 50 for the year.
Wow.
So I'm like, you work 7 to 11
For 50.
and you're at 50,000. I'm like, how am I gonna make 100,000?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm like,
Slaving.
so long story short, that what he was doing is what he understood, but I didn't understand that because you're working too much and we're still struggling, right?
Right.
But he blessed me with work ethic. But when I was up at 2, 3 in the morning typing on the computer, like mom writing a book, she's like, go to sleep. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
She's like, yo, you're tired. It's 3 in the morning. Just go to bed. And I'm like, Ma, you don't get it, And I kept saying it, but my faith was so strong. And, I'm telling you, when I was writing, I was like, this is gonna be a bestseller. I know it. I've never seen anyone write a book before. I never seen anyone hit #1 on Amazon before, but I just knew this was gonna be a bestseller. So my faith was so strong that no one could steer me left or right. So as long as you achieve everything that you're looking to achieve, they'll get it. Right now they might not understand the radio show because they think it's small, they think it's a waste of time. The bread might not be coming in like it's going to.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's going to.
Like it's going
I
to.
like that.
You gotta speak it.
Like it's going to.
But when it does, when you start getting those awards, when people start giving you those accolades, when you start getting those recognition, you've already seen it a year ago, 2 years ago, but they're starting to be like, whoa, I see it.
Yep.
Right.
Now when I walk in and my parents are in front of their friends, they're like, Carl wrote a book, right?
Yeah.
They quit the brag.
Nigga don't leave.
Yeah. Carl, do you have an extra one? I'm like, yeah, I got an extra one. Yeah,
They
want
proud.
Yeah. Now they're proud, but before they didn't understand, they didn't get it, and I took my dad to my first the first time someone invited me to speak. I spoke for 5 minutes, but I brought my dad with me. And I had like everyone clap for him and all that. But as I was speaking and watching my dad shed tears.
Really?
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'm like, that was like the proudest moment for me, having my dad at my first speech and having everyone like give me a standing ovation. It was crazy. And it was a very, very sentimental moment for me.
That is beautiful because Haitian fathers, they tough, man.
They tough.
And they don't really show emotion.
Yeah,
so for him to do that, that's special.
Yeah, he was super strict growing up, man.
Dude,
but
you know it, man.
Yeah.
My point since he won, I'll take care of you. You already know, bro.
That was the
I'll take the
whoopings we
belt.
grew up on. We grew up on the whoopings.
I'm like, hello,
belt.
Translation.
The belt.
hola.
We
¿Cómo
grew
están?
up on them whoopings, man.
I grew up on whoopings too. Bad ones. I'm a girl, so you can imagine how I got
Oh yeah, it was bad for my sister too.
For your book, what was the steps of getting it published though? Like, who did you have to go through to get it in this, paperback, the hard copy?
So, man, it's the same as it's a parallel in the book industry to the music industry. So, what I mean by that is people are steering away from the major corporations and going more independent. And I had a homegirl of mine, she wrote her book and she went with a quote unquote major corporation. They took 70%
What?
of her publishing.
70%.
70%. And I'm like, okay, what do I get for 70%? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did they do for you that was worth 70%? And it took her like 7 years to write her book.
Wow.
And I'm like, what did they do that was worth 7 years of your life?
Right.
And 70% of something you've worked so long for? They didn't really do anything. They threw her a book launch party. And,
Which you can do yourself.
Yeah, you can do that yourself.
Right.
So
Jeez.
I looked at that and said, I don't need anybody to push me. I can push myself, So I said, I'll do my marketing. You know what I'm saying? I'll do my my publishing. I'll do this and that and the third, and I'll put up the bread for it. I spent a lot of money on the artwork. I spent a lot of money on the photos. I spent a lot of money on the publishing, but I get all of that back. And that's what being independent is all about. So I just met a dude while I was at church, and the dude did a great. He did like a week-long service, and at the very last day on a Friday night, he says, this is where I was. I used to be a high school dropout. Now I'm studying my PhD, and I own a publishing company. I help authors. I'm like, ding 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 ding. You know what I'm saying?
Ears perk up.
So he owns a private company that publishes books and allows you to keep 100%.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So that's equivalent to like a CD Baby or something like that. They help with your distribution and all that stuff to different radio platforms like the iTunes and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So they get their little percentage, but you own everything essentially. Right. You're an independent artist. So it's the same thing. So you find a company that does publishing, or you can do it yourself. And another way that I did it for free, which I found out later on, was going through Amazon directly. So I went through Amazon for the digital version of the book. I found a company that knew the strategy to help me get to number one.
Nice.
So I partnered up with them, and they taught me exactly how to position the book on Amazon for it to hit number one. Wow. So createspace.com was the old way to publish it. Now they do everything through Kindle Direct Publishing. So you go to kdp.com or Kindle Direct Publishing, and you can literally upload the PDF version of your book. And when you upload the PDF version of your book, it goes to the Amazon paperback version, right? Or you can select hard copy. You can select it however way you want, and then you upload the Microsoft Word version for the digital copies. So that's how people get stuff on iBooks and Kindle and all that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So you can do it for free, literally.
Right.
Wow.
And they take their percentage, but it's worth it.
Did you have someone edit your writing?
Of course, yeah. So I did everything the expensive way. Because I wanted to keep 100% of everything. So I paid an editor. I paid a lady to do the photography for the cover. I paid for the formatting. I paid for the copies of the books that I got and all that stuff. But one of the beautiful things that you can do just like you could do with your music, you can have pre-orders. Pre-orders help, offset some of those costs that are associated with it. So I had like almost 200 pre-orders when I put it up. So the day that you released the book, or the day that I released the book, everyone purchased it. That's my official date. So I put the book up on Amazon at 1:00 p.m. By 7:00, it hit number 1 in 2 categories.
What?
Yeah, and then the next day it hit number 1 in the 3rd category. So
That's amazing, bro.
Listen,
It's a blessing.
strategies.
Because I was thinking about writing something, but I didn't know how to start it.
don't even think about it, man. Just start.
Just start.
The start is what stops most people.
Because it sounds overwhelming when you think about
So
it.
I did everything in a bite-sized version. You know what I'm saying? If you scroll through the book, because I'm gonna be transparent. Like, I did not like reading. Like a thick book, it's like, oh my goodness. But when someone says you can just read 10 pages a day, I was like, okay, I think I could do that. But I could sit there and scroll through Instagram for hours.
Right.
Yes.
But I didn't want to sit down and read a book.
Yeah.
So what I did was make my book the equivalent of an Instagram post and a caption. So every day it's just a bite-sized version. So every single day I would write a little bit at a time. I would have the quote already. I made 730 quotes and I picked the best 365. And that's where I wrote from. I would not go out. It got to the point where I could not go out and feel comfortable if I didn't write earlier that day. You know what I'm saying? All right. Can I tell you a quick story, though?
Tell
On
Tell it.
sacrifice.
break the
Tell
silence,
it.
bro.
So check this out. So Drake says, I'm always hearing nobody's working as hard as you. And even though I laugh it off, man, it's probably true. Because while my closest friends are out partying, I'm just here making all the music that they party to.
Yep. I
So,
know that.
so Drake is talking about sacrifices in that verse, right? And I had to experience that firsthand. There was this chick that I was digging for like literally years. Right? I'm like, yo, I want her. And at the time, she wasn't. It didn't work out, right? But my birthday, it was my birthday that day, and I'm in the house writing, right? And she's like, yo, Carl, happy birthday, all this other stuff. What are you doing tonight? And I'm like, I don't really have no plans.
Yep.
She was like, I'm gonna take you out for your birthday. Let's go get drinks.
Wow.
And I'm like,
Was this before or after you stopped drinking?
no, this is after I stopped drinking. We're good.
Well, after the year?
Yeah, after the year was up.
You grew up at this
I grew
point.
up.
You
Yeah,
grew
yeah.
up.
So,
Right.
so I'm like, yo, dope. All right, finally, she wanna
Yeah.
link up. And I was
During the
like-
time, you're super focused, though.
During this time, I was super
Yes.
focused, and I'm like, yo, I got deadlines.
Oh, snap.
I wanted to release the book on my birthday, but it just didn't work out, right? So I'm like, yo, I didn't meet my deadlines, and this girl wants to go out, and I didn't finish writing these pages. I told her no, and she was shocked.
Oh.
She was like, what? I'm like, yo, I'm writing right now, and I got this book that's coming out. I would love to, but I can't right now. She didn't understand. She's like, yo, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
You just deaded me.
But that's the type of sacrifices that are gonna have to be made.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, how serious are you about what you say you want?
Yeah.
Word.
That's a fact.
I think execution is hard for some people. Like for myself, I have a couple ebooks, right?
Nice.
So I have a planner that I published through. I did Create Space, and I've been trying to revamp it, and I've been trying. But the girl that I'm working with, the
my
story
gosh,
about
that story's
Homegirl.
crazy.
I've had so many issues
Yep.
with Homegirl. As you were talking, I actually texted her. I'm like, yo, my planner, right? But anyway, that's the point. So I think for me, it's just that, like the struggle to. So what? How do you push through? Like, was there ever a time where you're like, you know what, I'm done, forget this, but you still push through?
Yeah.
So that's me. Like, I feel like the execution part, I get frustrated. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm done with this.
Happens almost every day. When you're writing, you get frustrated. There is such a thing as writer's block. There is such a thing as obstacles. There is such a thing as setbacks. But you have to have a strong enough reason why. Go back to the reason you started. Why is that? People can say, if you're getting into rap, if you're getting into business, if you're getting into whatever you're getting into just for the money, you might as well give it up now.
Yep.
That's not a strong enough reason why to push past the obstacles. every day there's gonna be something different. You have to have passion that is going to push you through the pain and the difficult moments. It's Biggie Smalls who says, stay far from timid, only make moves when your heart's in it, and live the phrase sky's the limit. You got to put 100% in all that you do and move towards the things that you're most passionate about. That was major key number 4, by the way. So the days that you're like, man, this is whatever, it's okay to take a break and take a breather. You know, do something that's going to refresh your mindset. For me, believe it or not, I used to just watch Ratchet TV when I needed to just not think about anything. I thought too much about this book all day. I'm going to just watch something that I don't have to think about. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes people, you know, they go out, they go for a walk, they go for a breather, and then come back and handle that. It's just small steps every day. You don't have to do a big leap. It's just a little compound. What they call it, a compound effect. Just a little bit every day. You know what I'm saying?
I like that, bro. Thank you, brother, for coming, man.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Man, we appreciate that.
We seen your book on what's the show with Charlemagne?
Yes,
you posted that video.
It was the
Charlemagne
it was the
holding
Uncommon
the book
Sense.
in his hand.
Yeah.
On
Yo,
live
we've
television.
been grinding, man. Like
That's awesome.
I've been on MTV. I've been featured on a lot of different magazines, Rolling Out, things of that nature.
Nice.
And we're just getting started, man.
That's dope.
We're just getting started. I've met a lot of the celebrities that are in my book.
Nice.
Lauren Hill, 50, Jada Kiss, Fab. I met Colin Kaepernick.
Nice.
That's the homie.
Yeah.
So many different people that I've looked up to my entire life said that they admire my work.
Wow.
Nice.
That blew my mind, man.
That's beautiful, bro.
So yeah, we just getting started.
That's amazing.
Let us know where we can watch the shows, where we can get the book, all that. Give us all that information.
Yeah, so we just got picked up on cable TV on BronxNet. Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah, we're just getting started, baby. So
I gotta drop the bomb for that.
Thank you. So BronxNet has about 1 million subscribers and viewers down in the Bronx area where we film the show.
Nice.
But we you can find it on YouTube at Youth Empowerment Show. Youth Empowerment Show.
Okay.
IG, Twitter, all that stuff. You're gonna see the
I'll
clips
tag
on there.
all that in the
So you'll see the clips on all over. And if you need me for anything, it's just youngexecutive.com. YOUNGEXEK.
I love that
Listen, that
shit.
shirt.
Yeah,
I
got you. I got you with the shirts and the books. So I'm gonna make that
2X, bro. I'm a big guy.
I'm a small. I'm sure you have a small.
Damn, you already got a shirt.
Listen.
You be hate. Yo, he always hate on me.
No,
Listen.
I saw the clip where you was getting the shirts and prizes and all that.
Damn.
She got all the stuff, yo.
I'm like, yo,
I'm a small. I know you got a small in there somewhere.
I gotta come bearing gifts next time. I gotta come bearing gifts.
Please come back.
Yo,
Yes,
man.
hopefully there's
Thank
definitely a
We
next
love
time.
your hard work. We love your vibe. We love your
Thank you.
spirit, man. Thank you for coming, bro.
Congratulations on all your success
Yes,
as well.
Thank you. Give us your social media websites before we leave.
Everything is at Young Executive, YOUNGEXEKUTIVE. If you want to check out the show, it's at Youth Empowerment Show. Love y'all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next week's season finale. We're gonna be off for a while, but we ain't done.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That made me sad.
But we gonna still keep grinding. Everybody have a Merry Christmas.
Happy Kwanzaa.
Yes. Any other announcements before we go?
Make sure you guys follow me on social media. I am at Pamela Rosario. Just stop it. I know Mike about to go in, but nobody listen to Mike. He don't even belong here anymore.
Just follow her.
Just follow me, y'all, on my website, PamelaRosario.com. Thank you.
Pam, just look at
Cállate.
No, tú cállate. You look at behind you. I'm standing there looking at you on the wall at all times. I'm always in
Any
the building.
other announcements?
All they do
I
is
think
fight.
that's it.
Mike is not welcome to this
Like
season
you and
finale.
Regina.
You know what?
That's exactly.
Whatever.
It's not me. It's not me.
That's a lie.
Like,
I ain't said nothing.
I made my announcement. He asked, anybody have an announcement? I said, yes, I have an announcement.
She
Please
started
follow
rolling her
me.
R's and all
Merry
of a sudden Mike
Christmas, everybody.
came
Cash
out there.
walk and feel better. We'll
Cash,
see you
please
next
come
week.
back. Please, Cash,
Cash, when you come back, do what I do.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
This is New Villa Entertainment.